Hello, welcome to the Quicksilver Adventuring League. Today, I thought I'd go over how I do my session zero with some of my players and get prepped for the new campaigns that we start when we start them. And whether it's a one-off or a short campaign just over a few weeks, or if we're talking something over a couple years, I want to make sure we get off to the right foot, and everybody's going to be happy long term, and that the team that we have assembled for the group is actually going to work well together. Now, the group that I play with, for the most part, we've been together for several years, and we just enjoy playing together, and we know how each other likes to play the game and what we expect out of the game. So it's easy for me from that regard, but I've also run some one shots lately with strangers and some friends outside of the normal group. And I've had to do some different things for that. But for the most part, what I'm about to go over is pretty standard for me, at least for my session zeros. One of the first things you want to talk to your players about is, do they want to do a homemade campaign? Do they want to actually do something out of one of the books, just something that's pre-made? Do they want to have it combat focused? Do they want it role playing focused, or somewhere in the middle? Now, we typically do more of a balanced game. At least in my mind, it's balanced. Everybody's going to have their own definition of that, but we do more of a balanced with a role playing slant. Like, I typically like to give most encounters, I like to give an role playing option out of. It doesn't always have to be combat. If the players want to dive right into combat, sure, why not? But I also like to give them a way to role play their way out of the same situation to get to the same result. One thing that you include in those discussions as well is, where would they like to have the adventure? What kind of setting? That might help identify what kind of pre-made you want to do, or what type of homebrew you want to do. So just have that open discussion with your players, because you may have an idea of what kind of story you want to tell, but if they don't want to be a part of it, they're not going to have fun, and the campaign won't go as far. So just be open and honest with your players out the gate. So I actually have my own world that I've been working on for several years, and we've had a couple campaigns now within that world. What I did is, I've actually created a world map, and I have a rough idea of what each continent slash zone is like. I don't have it like fully developed, but one thing I did with my players is, we sat down and I showed them sections on the map and picked and gave them an overall view of each one, just outlined a basic outline of what each zone does and how it's structured, etc. And then let them pick which one they wanted to adventure in. And once they made that decision, it actually helped me, because it gave me a section to focus on, because before that, I'd actually been like kind of dabbling in each and working on the background for each. But that gave me a section to focus on, so I could build out the campaign and actually deep dive into that section of the world as I'm building it. Now that we had the where out of the way, I gave them more of a detailed background as to what's going on in this section of the world. And this one actually has magical limitations. So casters actually had some, impacts to them. If the player wanted to play a caster, they needed to know about, so that if they get a few weeks in and they're like, this isn't what I expected, I didn't want them to become, dissatisfied with what they'd chosen. So not full disclosure, because part of that instability is actually part of the background of the world that they needed to discover, but I gave them enough to help them decide if they wanted to play a caster. Another example of something I went over with my players is that the species in this actual part of the world, humans and elves, are actually rare. So if they play one, they're going to stand out more than the others. I'm a big fan of actually allowing my players to play whatever they want, but there will be restrictions and impacts to their gameplay during that, because of the actual role-playing aspect of playing one of those species within that world, because they are so rare. At this point, I would view as the basics are out of the way, then the players break and we get our characters created. So, this might be a week or two before. This way it gives the players some time to think about it and then make their characters. And then they would actually email me the characters, and so that I could review and then go over, like what actual impacts to playing this character would be to the player and to the party as a whole. Handling it this way actually also allows the player, if they want to actually like maybe hide some aspect of their character from the party that may be revealed later and during the campaign over time, then they can work on that on their own and send it to me privately in an email. And then I can review and let them know, if I'm okay with it, or if I'm not, why, and if so, what changes I would suggest. If they want to go ahead and play it, that's fine. but there will be potential impacts to the campaign long term. And during that same communication period between sessions, I actually will, once we've actually ironed out exactly what character they want to run with, then I have them actually write out a background. I've had people do just a paragraph. I've had them do a couple pages. And this is actually something I learned from a friend that I really like and incorporate into mine. But these backgrounds actually are worked out, and then they submit to me as to how the character, became who they are at this point. And once I have that, then I actually will weave that into the long-term story of the campaign so that maybe something months down the road that they put into their background actually comes to light during the campaign and actually has consequences and impacts on the game right there and helps the character grow and resolve issues that have happened in the past. During this process as well, we also work out like maybe a potential starting gear. I mean, the generics like backpack, bedroll, and all that, I mean, they can have whatever they want, but there might be a limit to starting money. Maybe the background they've chosen may, increase that. But we discuss that during this time. And if they want anything unique, then we talk about it. How does that fit into your background, et cetera? But yeah, for the most part, I mean, I let them pick whatever they want. But unless there's going to be some type of flair that I need to know about, then we talk about that. Then after that, the last piece really for us is scheduling. We typically play on Saturdays, but just need to make sure that with your game, just try to work out a schedule that fits best for everyone, because you don't want to have one person out, like if you do it once a week, if you do it twice a week, let's just say you do it once a week. You don't want to have one person that's going to be out 2 to 3 times a month and the rest of the players are available. And that's not fair to the other players. You want to find a date that fits for everybody. Try to keep the schedule as consistent as you can so that everybody's happy and the story continues. I've heard many stories about campaigns ending early because of scheduling and real life issues, which do happen. But if you do the due diligence out the gate, you're more likely to have a happy players and long-term campaign without as many issues. I hope you found this video both beneficial and informative for your session zero. The better you prep, the more likely you're going to have long-term success. And thank you for watching. If you like the channel, please hit subscribe and hit that like button. Thanks. See you in the next one.